Godzilla vs. Kong was a fairly enjoyable action film, and certainly a welcome reprieve from the dearth of cinematic content we've suffered from over the last year due to COVID. However, it has several glaring flaws that keep it from being amazing. And last week I posted the 6 steps I would take to fix Godzilla vs. Kong. In this video, I'm going to be outlining what the movie would look like if those steps were applied during its creation. Now, of course, I want to point out that it's much easier to fix a broken movie than it is to create a good one from scratch. This version of the film benefits greatly from hindsight. That being said, I also want to point out that Hollywood often hires new writers to tweak scripts that aren't working for one reason or another, so I feel like it's completely reasonable to make critiques such as these. Okay, so my story would open on Walter Simmons, the head of Apex Cybernetics, when he was a child. He just finished building an awesome cityscape with Legos. His father walks by and he says, "Hey Dad, look what I built. Do you like it?" So his father comes, he looks at it, he compliments him on the design of the city, but then he pushes on the tallest building and it topples over, destroying the whole thing. His father looks at Walter and says, "Unfortunately, nothing you accomplish will ever be good enough if there is someone who can destroy it all with a flick of their wrist." So Walter Simmons tries not to cry, and then his father says, "I want you to build it again, and this time, build it to last." Then the camera transitions from the destroyed Lego cityscape to a shot of Hong Kong, which looks much like Simmons' Lego creation. A new building is under construction, but there's one little shack that's ruining the look. The owner of the old property drives up and bolts out of the car, going up to Simmons, who now owns half of Hong Kong, and saying that he found a loophole in the paperwork, and Simmons can't destroy the family shop. Walter Simmons has his lawyer point out all the legalities of what he's doing, referencing that all the paperwork is rock solid and indisputable, and that nothing can topple the momentum of this building project that's going to be the most advanced hospital in all of Asia. Then he gets in the seat of a crane with a wrecking ball on it and destroys the building with a flick of his wrist. See, Walter Simmons wants to leave behind a legacy that will last for 1,000 years. Then Godzilla and these other titans show up and demonstrate that they can destroy entire city blocks in an instant. And Simmons realizes that his legacy will always be in jeopardy for as long as these monsters exist on the Earth. The problem for him, though, is that everyone absolutely adores Godzilla. He's their hero, and killing him would leave an irreparable mark on Simmons' public image. So, he decides to start building a Titan killing machine, a superior version of Godzilla, in secret. His plan is to eventually turn the public against Godzilla and then kill him, being seen as a hero himself in the process. Then Simmons finds out about the energy radiating through Hollow Earth. He knows that this is the final piece to create his stable and lasting empire, to make his company and his buildings and his soldiers invincible. However, every time he tries to send an expedition down there to study it, Godzilla cuts them off at the pass. Finally, during one of the attempts, a helicopter gets away and makes it to the surface. Godzilla follows it up and destroys it, along with a couple of nearby buildings, and everyone who was in those buildings dies. So all around the world, people are wondering why Godzilla attacked people, and why he caused so much destruction unprovoked. Of course, Simmons is silent on the reason why Godzilla attacked the chopper, but he realizes that he has the power to turn public perception against Godzilla, and then do whatever he wants with this king of the monsters. So he goes on the news and he says, "Don't worry people, Apex is here to protect you against the monster that you thought was on your side. We're going to create a contingency plan to help secure our way of life on the off chance Godzilla goes crazy and attacks us again." Now, of course, in reality, he knows that Mechagodzilla is almost done being built, and all he really needs for the project's completion is the power source from Hollow Earth. Meanwhile, Kong is a celebrity. The internet loves this gentle giant that keeps the local inhabitants of his undestroyed island safe. The island, however, is also an entry point to Hollow Earth. Seriously, did none of the writers remember that the whole point of Kong Skull Island was to investigate this gateway into underground tunnels full of monsters? So Apex lures Godzilla towards the entry point to Hollow Earth, and because of this, he crosses paths with Kong, and they end up going head to head in an epic battle that destroys all the natives on the island except one, and caves in the entrance to Hollow Earth in the process. Godzilla ended up being trapped on the inside of this destruction, so his fight with Kong is cut off prematurely. Now everyone in the world hates Godzilla now. Madison Russell, however, knows that something about all of this isn't right. She's familiar with Godzilla and knows that he's not usually like this. After all, he saved her life. So she starts to look into Apex, and as she does, she realizes that there's more to the company than their shiny exterior would suggest. After the battle, Apex graciously offers to relocate Kong to a new home, his original home, where he can live out his life as nature intended. So they begin to transport him to another entry point for Hollow Earth. Godzilla, however, knows that they just want Kong to escort them to Hollow Earth so that they can gain access to the unlimited power source that's down there. But the rest of the world thinks that they really do care about him and his well-being. Madison Russell attempts to hack into the Apex website to find out what's going on, but she has no idea what she's doing, and she's unable to actually hack into anything. She does, however, find the names of some employees in middle management, and so she goes, pretending that she's writing a paper about Apex for school. She chooses one of the managers who doesn't have a social media presence, or who simply has a really terribly managed Facebook account, because she figures someone like that would be the type to leave their password written down on a sticky note or a piece of paper somewhere. So she ends up with a couple minutes alone in his office, waiting for him to finish some meeting. And so she searches the office and finds the password she's looking for. She logs into the network and finds all sorts of documents on Mechagodzilla, showing that they've been building it for years and they already have a propaganda campaign ready to release in response to a Godzilla fight that hasn't even happened yet. She also finds proof that they've been trying to get to Hollow Earth to power their machines, but Godzilla has been blocking them at every turn. Following the theme of destroying things with a flick of the wrist, Madison presses one button and publishes everything she's found online. In the meantime, Godzilla tracks down Apex within the tunnels, but Kong stands in between them, prompting a fight between the two titans. During the battle, they fall over the edge and fall all the way down to Hollow Earth. During this entire fall, they essentially fight in 0G. Then they begin to slow down before slamming into the ground of Hollow Earth. Godzilla is still distracted by his fight with Kong. So in the meantime, Apex sneaks over and connects into the power source using the escape rope they brought with them that is secretly a power line to one of their facilities. So Godzilla seems like he's just about to take out Kong, and in that moment he realizes what Apex is doing. He immediately snaps the cable so that it can't transfer any more energy to the surface. But unfortunately, it's too late, and Mechagodzilla is already fully powered up. Godzilla races to the surface to find and destroy Mechagodzilla. Unfortunately, he destroys some buildings along the way, and Walter Simmons uses this as the excuse he needs to unleash his new weapon on Godzilla. The government has also assembled an enormous task force to try to take down Godzilla, so they agree to work with Apex. And for the moment, Godzilla is surviving, but he's quickly losing ground in the fight. So just when it seems too late for him, Kong arrives and joins in the fight, distracting Mechagodzilla long enough for him to recuperate. Then they start to work together to defeat this mechanical abomination. It's in the middle of this fight that Madison Russell releases her files to the public. So now everyone realizes that Apex has been antagonizing Godzilla into fighting. The news outlets are watching the fight from a completely different perspective after this release. They see Godzilla and Kong attempting to lead Mechagodzilla away from the civilians and towards some less inhabited countryside, but Mechagodzilla is showing absolutely no concern for the destruction that it's causing. And of course this makes sense, because really, how easy would it be for a human with a neural link to control a giant robot perfectly for the first time? But at the same time, it still demonstrates that Apex has less concern for collateral damage than the Titans do. So the army gets new orders, and together with Godzilla and Kong, they take Mechagodzilla down while also storming Apex and arresting Simmons. The movie ends for Kong much the same way that it did in the original, but Godzilla gets a moment to look at the army that had been fighting against him, and to symbolize the fact that he doesn't hate them and never actually wanted to hurt them. Then he walks off into the sea as humanity's savior yet again. Well, that's what I think Godzilla vs. Kong could have been. What do you think of these changes? Do you think they could have improved the film or detracted from it? Let me know in the comments below. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of my videos as I release them, please subscribe and then press the bell icon so that you can get notified when I upload. And of course, thanks for watching.